Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy, and this is the 9th in my series where I go through each year and tell you my favorite album, my favorite song, my favorite film, and my favorite television show. And we're up to 1958. One caveat is that I have to have a physical copy in order to choose it. And as far as the TV shows go, I take their whole run into consideration, but they're only eligible their debut season. So let's get to it. My favorite album of 1958. I will make a statement that I forgot. My favorite jazz album, and that would be Art Blakey and the Messengers, his album Moanin', which I forgot. I'm not sure where I would place it in here, but it is a very good album. So let's get to it. My third runner-up is Mr. Little Willie John by Little Willie John. Now, this was the second album for King Records for this fine R&B singer from Arkansas. It has some rockin' tunes, some blues tunes, and some nice ballads. My favorite on here are probably All My Love Belongs to You, Home at Last, Let's Rock While the Rockin's Good. That might be my favorite on here. But he kind of had a bad end to his life, dying in prison while serving a sentence for manslaughter. But yeah, Little Willie John, 1958. My second runner-up, it's Frank Sinatra sings Only for the Lonely. Now this is my MoFi copy from a box set that I have. Got some great tunes on here, including Guess I'll Hang My Tears Out to Dry, Blues in the Night, One for My Baby, and One More for the Road. This was similar to his album In the Wee Small Hours with several late night laments, and supposedly one of Frank Sinatra's favorite recordings. My first runner-up, titled Buddy Holly, from Buddy Holly. This is an Acoustic Sounds reissue. Really nice one. He was on the Coral label. But this is the debut album credited to Buddy Holly, but the Crickets play all over it. And sometimes he was called Buddy Holly and the Crickets. And several of the Crickets do help in the writing. It's got like Peggy Sue, Ray Vaughan, Every Day. Some great classic rock and roll tunes. And my favorite album of 1958 is Jerry Lee Lewis' self-titled album. This is his debut. With Sam Phillips, the Sun Records founder, strangely leaving off his two biggest hits and Great Balls of Fire and a whole lot of shaking going on. Still, this eclectic mix offers some really great gems on here, like You Bangy Stomp, his version of Matchbox, the Carl Perkins tune, and High School Confidential, which was the biggest hit off here, which was also used in the movie of the same name, and Jerry Lee Lewis appears in that. But it all depends on who will buy the wine is another good one on here. It's on the iconic Sun label. And there you see Jerry Lee with Sam Phillips right there. And now for my favorite song of 1958. The third runner-up from Clyde McPhatter. This is a compilation album called Rock and Cry that was put out, distributed by Charlie Records out of the UK. There's that Charlie label. But the song is, where is it on here? Oh, A Lover's Question, number 4 on there, on the second side. It was his biggest hit as a solo artist. Of course, McPhatter is known for being the lead singer in the Drifters, and also Billy Ward and his Dominoes. It was written by Brooke Benton and Jimmy T. Williams. I'm not sure why Brooke Benton didn't record it at that time. I think he did record it later. But yeah, A Lover's Question, great pop tune. My second runner-up, from The Platters, and it's a song, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Originally a show tune for the 1933 musical Roberta, written by Jerome Kern and Otto Harbach. This is my favorite song by this smooth vocal group, The Platters. Kern's widow threatened legal action for giving it a rock and roll sound. If you know the song, you go, what the heck? But anyway, but Harbach supposedly loved this version. It sold like 1 million copies. And with all the royalties, I think Mrs. Kern decided she was going to drop that lawsuit. But yeah. Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, my second runner-up. My first runner-up is One for My Baby, often in parentheses, and One More for the Road by Frank Sinatra. This is my favorite Frank Sinatra tune and has that feel of a late night at the bar right before closing times with a drink. It was first performed in 1943 by Fred Astaire, but this is the definitive version. Frank Sinatra recorded it several times, but the one-off Only the Lonely is the best version. Written by Harold Arlen and Johnny Mercer. Although Sinatra recorded it several times, it's this version which has that Bill Miller forlorn tinkling of the piano that really stands out. Yeah, One for My Baby and One More for the Road. And my favorite song from 1958, from Jerry Butler and the Impressions. This is entitled Your Precious Love. This is a compilation album on Charlie, but the title is For Your Precious Love. Written by Arthur Brooks, Richard Brooks, and Jerry Butler. Now, the two Brooks were also members of the Impressions. This is Jerry at his most emotive and as one of my favorite vocal performances of all time. This is the song that made me fall in love with his voice. Jerry Butler's early stuff on VJ, it's essential as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, For Your Precious Love, Jerry Butler and the Impressions. And now for my favorite movie of 1958. Third runner-up, The Horror of Dracula. Now, this was directed by Terence Fisher, and it's one of the best Hammer horror films with Peter Cushing as Van Helsing and Christopher Lee as Count Dracula. This helped revive Gothic horror and gave Dracula a new life, and it made Christopher Lee a horror star. This is a 4-film collection from Turner Classic Movies. You can see the other ones that are included on here, but yeah. Great, I guess it's the same thing inside. Great Hammer film. My second runner-up is the French film, Elevator to the Gallows, directed by Louis Malle. A meticulously planned murder goes horribly wrong as one mistake is made. It is a great noir with a cinematographer Henry Decaille, who had worked with Jean-Pierre Melville, one of my favorites, creating an anxious atmosphere with Jean Moreau and Maurice Ronet. Our standouts, I probably mispronounced their names. Also has a great Miles Davis score, and I actually do have the soundtrack. There's Jean Moreau right there. Also inside, this was a reissue from Sam Records, which is out of France. There's a nice photo in here of Miles Davis. Elevator to the Gallows. My first runner-up is Touch of Evil, directed by Orson Welles. Great film noir known for the opening 3.5-minute crane shot without a cut. Just a classic, set on the U.S.-Mexico border town. This movie keeps you guessing with many suspenseful scenes and great performances by Orson Welles and Marlene Dietrich, who is not pictured on here. There's Janet Leigh, she's also in the film as well. And my favorite film of 1958, also one of my favorite films, and that's Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. This is one of Hitchcock's masterpieces, a hypnotic thriller that follows an obsessed James Stewart, and I mean obsessed, where things are never what they seem. This shows Hitchcock at the top of his form, at the top of his craft, I guess I should say, with imaginative shots and creates an aura of mystery. I've always wanted to go on the Vertigo tour in San Francisco. Maybe one day I'll make it, but yeah, just a classic film. Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. Now for my favorite television show of 1958. 1958 was one of the best years, I think, in television, and there's so many that I couldn't even make my top 4, and they are Dial 999. This is a British television show where a Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman is posted to a New Scotland Yard. Kind of sounds like MacLeod, the American series. Got an idea kind of from that. Nancy Derringer, which stars Jock Mahoney, who also played Tarzan in a few movies, and X Brands as his Pawnee helper. Lawman, which was a great John Russell TV series. Bronco, another great Western series. And I can't think of this guy's name. Yeah, Ty Hardin. And The Naked City, which was great as it did a lot of location shooting. And Lloyd Bridges and Sea Hunt. So there's so many that I just couldn't get on my list. And now for my favorite television show from 1958. My third runner-up is Peter Gunn. Private Eye series with Craig Stevens as Peter Gunn. Craig Stevens was born in Liberty, Missouri, where I spent my teenage years. But he always hung around the nightclub Mothers, where lounge singer Edie Hart, played by Lola Albright. There she is. She sang there, and they were also an item. It had the iconic Peter Gunn theme by Henry Mancini, and it was a TV show created by Blake Edwards. Of course, he's known for the Pink Panther and other things as well. But yeah, Peter Gunn, my third runner-up. My second runner-up, it's Bat Masterson. This was a collection that had over 60 episodes. Later, they had released all the episodes, where I wish I would have waited before I picked this up. But as a kid, I always loved Gene Barry as Bat Masterson with his cane and bowler hat. He's always smacking people with his cane. But he was the gentleman gunslinger. He was also a ladies' man, and he was able to interject some humor into the genre. But yeah, Bat Masterson, great Western series. And my first runner-up is 77 Sunset Strip. This is season 2. I actually loaned season 1 to somebody, but it starred Efren Zimbalist Jr. and Roger Smith as detectives whose office was on Sunset Boulevard in LA, right next to Dino's Lounge, where they could often be found for Dean Martin's club. It also starred Ed Burns, who was originally just a valet there, but later would help them solve crimes. Actually, I think it was in like the first or second episode, and he was a bad guy, and then later he turns up as the valet. But he would become a star for his unique mannerisms and catchphrases. But yeah, there's Efren Zimbalist Jr. there, Roger Smith, and Ed Kooky Burns right there. For my favorite television show from 1958, it's Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer. Before Stacy Keach played Hammer, Darren McGavin played the hard-boiled detective with an eye for the ladies. This is probably my favorite version, although I did really like Stacy Keach's version of the show as well. But you might know Darren McGavin. He also played Kolchak, the Night Stalker, and he was also the father in Christmas Story. But this lasted 2 seasons, half-hour episodes. But yeah, my favorite series from 1958, Mike Hammer. Thanks, everyone, for coming along with me on this journey. I'd like to see your picks for 1958. Maybe give me your favorite albums, songs, movies, and TV shows down in the comment section. And I will see you in 1959.